Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our springtime celebration of music and our musical wildflowers. I'm Jeff Payne, I'm your host, and we are so excited that you are here with us today. And we know you are most certainly going to enjoy the musical journey we're going to take you on this evening. James Kernal, his Fanfare and Flourishes, was composed in 1991 and features a prominent musical theme from Mark Anthony's Charpentier's Te Deum. As the title suggests, it's an exciting fanfare opens with a piece, giving way to a Renaissance-inspired melody that features multiple sections of the ensemble in turn. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Greenwood Community Wind Ensemble and their music director and conductor, Mr. Randy Greenwell. Lincolnshire Posy was written as a commission for the 1937 American Bandmasters Association Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and was partially premiered on March 7, 1937, by the Milwaukee Symphonic Band. Granger conducted this premiere. Much to Granger's chagrin, the mostly amateur ensemble was not able to perform the entire work, instead premiering only movements 1, 2, and 4. 3 and 5 were considered too difficult, and Granger had yet to finish the final and 6th movement. Adding to the composer's frustration, the premiering ensemble was made up mostly of bandsmen from the workers' ensembles of the Milwaukee Pabst Blue Ribbon and Blatt's breweries. Granger, famously obstinate and teeter-totter, would later write angrily in the published score that the performers only cared more about their beer than their music. As mentioned, the work is in 6 movements, all based on folk songs from Lincolnshire, England. Granger's settings are not only true to the verse structure of the folk songs, but attempt to depict the singers from whom Granger collected the songs. This bunch of musical wildflowers, hence the title, is based on folk songs collected in Lincolnshire, England. One was notated by Miss Lucy E. Broadwood. the other 5 noted by Granger, mainly in the years of 1905 to 1906 with the help of the phonograph. And the work is dedicated to the old folk singers who sang so sweetly to him. Indeed, each number is intended to be a kind of musical portrait of the singer who sang the song's underlying melody, a musical portrait of the singer's personality no less than of his habits of song, his regular or irregular words and wants of rhythms, his preferences of gaunt or ornately and arabesque delivery, his contrast of legato and staccato, his tendency towards breadth and delicacy of tone. Since its premiere, Lincolnshire Posy has been recognized as a cornerstone of wind band repertoire. The movements will be performed in order with little breaks between movements, so please hold your applause until the conclusion of the 6th movement. The movements are named as follows: 1. Lisbon, 2. Horkstowe Grange, 3. Rufford Park Poachers, 3. The Brisk Young Sailor, 5. Melbourne, and last, Lady Found. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Percy Granger's Lincolnshire Posy. Existence Infinite by Rosano Galante is composed as a reverence memorial for an inspirational musician and educator. This emotional and lush work conveys the sense of loss, but also the emotional healing that follows. Linda Cook was principal clarinetist for the Greenwood Community Band for many years and was also the principal clarinet for the wind ensemble since its inception in 2019. Linda was a great musician and clarinetist, but perhaps more importantly, a great wife, mother, music educator, friend, and member of the Greenwood Community Band family. While we miss her dearly, her spirit and impact on all who knew her lives in the fabric of the band membership. Please enjoy Existence Infinite as we honor our friend, Linda Cook. The background on our next piece comes directly from composer Jeff Tyzik. For those of you familiar with Chuck Mangione, Jeff was a college trumpet friend while the two attended Eastman School of Music, and later played trumpet in the orchestra on several of Chuck Mangione's tours. Jeff was also a very skilled arranger and frequently did the arrangements for many of Chuck's full versions of the orchestra behind him on many of his recordings and albums. Today, Jeff Tyzik is a composer and arranger of hundreds of pieces for orchestras and wind ensembles all over the world. 3 Latin Dances was composed for the Eastman Wind Ensemble at the request of Mark Scatterday in September of 2018. Jeff goes on to say, "In the past 20 years, Mark has been very instrumental and encouraging to me to compose wind music. I am grateful for the many wind ensemble projects and recordings we have collaborated on, including Images, our CD that was released in October of 2018. I've always been attracted to the music of great Latin composers, including Da Falla, Jimenez, Chapi, Piazzolla, Ginastera, and Luciana, and many others. In this short suite, I used 3 different popular Latin dance forms. The first dance section is based on the danzón, a Cuban dance that is slow, formal, and elegant. The danzón transitions into a cha-cha, another Cuban dance that is a medium tempo rhythmic dance that I first experienced during my student days at Eastman when I played in local Latin bands. After a brief recap of the danzón, another transition evolves into the malambo, an Argentine dance that is exciting, up-tempo, and whose roots can be traced back to the early 1600s. As one might imagine, the percussion section is very busy and featured throughout, from the elegant and lyrical introduction to the exciting finish. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Jeff Tyzik's 3 Latin Dances. We are going to take a 15-minute transition, an intermission to arrange the seating on stage for the Greenwood Community Band. You'll see a table out front with a bass drum. If you would consider making a cash donation into the bass drum, please know that it goes to supporting these two fine ensembles with great music to perform for you. We continue to grow our music library, and your donations go a long way to bringing more exciting music to our programs. If you would like to consider making a charitable donation and contribution, this would be a wonderful organization. Please consult the printed program to see how to become a donor and or benefactor of the Greenwood Community Band. We'll see everyone in just a few minutes. Esprit de Corps. Based on the Marines hymn, the opening work is kind of a fantasy march, as well as a tribute to the United States Marine Band, which incidentally also commissioned the work. Full of energy and drama, the composition has its solemn moments as well as its lighter moments. For example, the quasi-waltz in the middle of the piece. The composer intends that this work should display the fervor and virtuosity of the Marine Band and the musical spirit and integrity of the conductor, Colonel John R. Bourgeois, for whom the initial tempo marking, Tempo de Bourgeois, is named. Colonel John Bourgeois is a dramatic, spirited conductor who reflects the excitement of the Marine Band and the music that is being played. When a tempo is supposed to be bright, he makes sure that it is exactly that. Because the tempo of Esprit de Corps is to be very bright, the marking just had to be Tempo de Bourgeois. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Greenwood Community Band and their music director and conductor, Mr. Randy Greenwell. Dusk, a simple chorale-like work, captures the reflective calm of dusk, paradoxically, and illuminates the fiery hues of sunset. The composer says, "I'm always struck by the dual nature of this experience, as if witnessing an event of epic proportions silently occurring in slow motion. Dusk is intended as a short, passionate evocation of this moment of dramatic stillness." Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first guest conductor this evening, Mr. Diashmar Marshall, to conduct the wind ensemble on Stephen Bryant's Dusk. Children's March was scored for band by Granger in 1919 for a piano solo, which he had composed between 1916 and 1918. The band arrangement was begun in 1918, while the composer was still a member of the U.S. Coast Auxiliary Band and Artillery Band, and was written to take advantage of that band's instrumentation. Generally accepted as the first band composition utilizing the piano, the march features the woodwinds, especially the low reeds, during most of its 7-minute duration. From the introduction to the end, the folk-like melodies make it difficult for the listener to realize that the work was original by and for Granger. It was first performed by the Goldman Band on June 6, 1919, with the composer conducting and Ralph Leopold at the piano. Like many of Granger's works, the march demonstrates both the fierceness and the tenderness of the composer's personality. Granger said, "It is dedicated to my playmate beyond the hills." This person is believed to be Karen Holton, a Scandinavian beauty with whom the composer corresponded with for 8 years, but did not marry because of his mother's jealousy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do something for you right now that we simply call Discover the Musical Score. Like Leonard Bernstein's Young People's Concerts with the New York Philharmonic years ago, we're going to have the band play excerpts of the Children's March that will help you find all the hidden treasures, sometimes lost in the audience or on the audience when they hear the full work for the first time. This, of course, will be followed by a full performance of the work. Please welcome back to the podium our principal conductor, Mr. Randy Greenwell, and our guest pianist, Mr. Zach Tasiniak, as we begin our discovery of Granger's beautiful music. Now let us discover Granger's score to Children's March. The first excerpt is from the beginning, and we will call it theme number 1. You will hear this theme interspersed throughout the work. The second theme, including a slight variation, is a playful one, artfully stated by our baritone saxophone and bassoons. This is also about 5 measures into Granger's introduction of the piano into the orchestration, so you will hear the piano as well. Granger later takes this theme and adds a variation that you will hear when the entire work is played. The third theme owes its existence as a bit of a derivative of the second theme and is again introduced by the baritone saxophone and bassoons. After some variation in the orchestration with all 3 themes, Granger finally gets us to our first full arrival of sorts utilizing the third theme. Notice Granger's preponderance for orchestrated color, introducing splashes of the French horns and measures into the statement. Theme number 4 comes just at the right time, and it's a bit of a variation of theme number 1. Furthermore, for the first time, Granger introduces a vocal part that is sung by members of the band who did not play during that segment. This is also where Granger brings us to our second key center. singing returns later in this section after some wonderful Granger-esque shorter treatments of the themes 1 and 2. All of this while skillfully taking us through 2 key centers. As Granger utilizes the French horns to announce the 3rd new key center, he also takes this opportunity to truly feature the beauty of the piano and keyboard percussion colors. This coincidentally also sets up our next key center while simultaneously demonstrating Granger's most robust emotional mood changes.
We need to move on to the next excerpt. I think we're one excerpt off.
Ah, yes.
We're at the last.
Oh, very good. Granger perfectly illustrates a pictorial setting of the 2 children strolling through the hills and far away by once again utilizing the bassoon, baritone, saxophone, and piano as his primary focus for the end of the work. The return to the B-flat tonal center also makes the listener feel as though we have truly been on a journey through Granger's musical hills and valleys. Ladies and gentlemen, please now enjoy the fully performed Granger work, Children's March. Dance of the Tumblers is a musical excerpt from Act 3 of the opera Snow Maiden, written by one of the great Russian composers, Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. He was a member of the Russian Five, along with Mussorgsky, Balakirev, Cui, and Borodin, who were a group of composers that brought forth the Russian school of composition during the mid to late 1800s. Snow Maiden was composed in 1880 to 81 and was first performed in January of 1882 by the Mariinsky Theater in St. Petersburg. The plot of the opera explores the opposition of forces of nature, using mythological characters to depict the internal struggles, such as cold frost of winter versus warmth of spring. Dance of the Tumblers creates a light and uplifting mood, accompanying clowns and acrobatics throughout the storyline. Please welcome to the podium Mrs. Cheryl Fife to guest conduct Rimsky-Korsakov's Dance of the Tumblers. Viva is a celebration of the cultural heritage and history of Roma, Texas. Situated on the border between Mexico and Texas, the town served as an important point for transit over the Rio Grande River. The piece imagines a traveler approaching Roma from the countryside. The music in the first section depicts the desert, suggesting hazy tendrils of heat rising from the landscape, dominated by sand and scrub brush. As the traveler nears the city, dance music begins to drift in on the hot wind. The folk-like melody gives way to the dance tune that slowly builds in intensity. Here, the music paints a party scene, with revelers dancing and possibly even an impromptu parade. As the piece builds to a raucous close, one can imagine accompanying shouts of "Viva!" Please welcome back to the podium to guest conduct Viva, Mr. Diashmar Marshall. Sir? Chorale and Shaker Dance was commissioned by the Bloomington, Minnesota Jefferson High School Band. However, the community-based Medalist Concert Band, also of Bloomington, premiered the work on March of 1972 at the Music Educators National Convention with the composer conducting. The work combines an original chorale tune and the traditional Shaker song, The Gift to Be Simple. Ziedlik transforms, varies, and juxtaposes both themes throughout the entire composition, incorporating intricate counterpoint and jazz-influenced syncopated rhythms. The Shaker melody does not appear in its entirety until near the end of the piece, when the trumpet section plays the tune over a flurry of activity in the upper woodwinds and a sonorous low brass accompaniment. A short allegro section follows, and the work draws to a close with several dissonant whole notes that resolve into a brilliant D major chord. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the podium to conduct our final musical wildflower for you, our music director and conductor of the Greenwood Community Band, Mr. Randy Greenwell.
They're so professional. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for enduring twice the length of program that you're used to coming to a Greenwood Community Band. I promise you that it won't all be that long, but we wanted to make sure we were able to showcase some great music and get you in the spring spirit. The temperatures are going to be balmy now, so please come out to Serena Park on June 2nd. We are going to have a Latin concert, and we're going to feature some guest conductors. Lita Gentry is going to be back with our jazz ensemble as well. We're going to be playing all Latin music to open up summer, 19 days early on the June 2nd at 6 o'clock at Serena Park. Thanks so much. Please enjoy the reception, and thank you again.